The day began with the kind of stillness that pilots cherish. The soft hum of airport machinery in the distance. The crisp smell of jet fuel in the morning air. The sky a pale canvas stretching endlessly overhead. Captain Derrick Williams walked across the tarmac with the steady, measured pace of a man who had spent 15 years moving through this world of precision and responsibility. Each step aligned with a lifetime of discipline, his navy blue uniform pressed to sharp lines, golden stripes gleaming against the deep fabric. His flight bag swinging at his side, not with casual sway, but with the rhythm of purpose. In the terminal, glass reflected his image back at him, a reminder of the badge of skill and trust he carried. The polished wings on his chest, not mere decoration, but the culmination of countless hours above the clouds, nights away from home, weathering storms both in the sky and in life. He passed passengers absorbed in their own pre-flight rituals, families juggling luggage and children, business travelers tethered to their devices, airport staff moving with orchestrated efficiency. Yet here, in this carefully choreographed world, Derrick felt the subtle currents, the ones most never noticed, the lingering glances that measured him, the micro-hesitations and smiles, the way some eyes seemed to question whether he truly belonged in this space, even in uniform. These moments came and went like turbulence, unexpected yet familiar. As he approached the gate, his mind ran through the checklist, not the one on paper, but the one etched into his instincts. Rest, weather, aircraft readiness, crew cohesion. Today's route was a steady haul across states. Smooth skies predicted. He greeted his crew with the nod of shared professionalism and excused himself to retrieve a forgotten item from the front of the aircraft. That was when the path led him toward first class, the plush seats, the hushed lighting, the atmosphere curated for comfort and exclusivity. It was a space he had walked through countless times, yet today each step toward that cabin felt weighted not with anticipation, but with the quiet knowledge that, even here, in a domain defined by rules and hierarchy, perception could override protocol, and perception was about to strike. "Get out now." The voice ripped through the serene hum of the cabin like a lightning bolt, snapping heads toward the source and freezing the air mid-breath. The sound cut across plush, carpeted silence, shattering it into sharp fragments. Every passenger within sight turned their gaze toward the man standing in the doorway, tall, broad-shouldered, in immaculate uniform, cap under his arm, flight bag in hand, posture steady, but eyes narrowing only slightly. The accusing finger aimed at him quivered with the rigid energy of manufactured authority. The flight attendant's stance braced like a barrier erected against intrusion, her chin tilted in the way of someone asserting control not for safety, but for status. Whispers began to snake through the cabin, the faint rustle of fabric as passengers shifted, phones raised discreetly and not so discreetly, screens already capturing the scene for later. Eyes scanned Derrick from head to toe, the dark skin, the gold stripes, the calm face meeting the storm of judgment and assumption. The attendant's voice carried easily to every row, its cadence deliberate, its phrasing heavy with implication. She framed her act as necessity, invoking words like unauthorized and unapproved, wrapping her decision in the language of procedure, though its roots were planted firmly in something far more personal. She spoke as though she were protecting the sanctity of first class, shielding its passengers from an interloper, an image of defense carefully staged for her audience. Derrick felt each word like a lash across the skin, not because they could strip away his worth, but because they attempted to rewrite it in the eyes of those watching. Some passengers looked away, unwilling to hold the discomfort. Others stared openly, curiosity and bias interwoven in their expressions. An elderly woman's eyes softened with something like sorrow, her phone angled toward the scene, as if she understood the importance of documenting the truth. A man in a tailored suit smirked faintly, leaning back in his seat with the ease of someone confident the social order was being upheld. Derrick's grip on his flight bag tightened, not in aggression but in controlled defiance. The years had taught him the dangerous ease with which a calm rebuttal from a black man could be recast as hostility. So, he remained still, letting the silence press in, letting it grow heavy enough to be felt like a weight on the chest. Passengers began to murmur, threads of recognition weaving through the cabin. A voice near the back whispered too loudly, "Isn't he the pilot?" The words rippled forward, picked up by others. The attendant's jaw tightened, her grip on authority slipping, her eyes flickering with the first hint of uncertainty. Somewhere closer to the front, another passenger muttered, "That's the captain, isn't it?" The tension hung in the air, a taut wire ready to snap. And then it came the chime of the intercom, sharp, decisive. "Captain Williams, please proceed to the cockpit." The words landed with the force of truth, undeniable and absolute. Eyes widened in unison, heads turned toward him, the weight of realization slamming into the room. The attendant's face drained of color, her arm dropping to her side, her stance folding inward. Derrick moved forward, each step deliberate, each one reclaiming ground she had tried to take from him. The smirk from the businessman vanished, replaced by a tight jaw. The woman clutching her bag released it slightly, her fingers unfurling. Passengers who had recorded the moment now held their phones with a different energy, capturing vindication rather than presumed guilt. Derrick walked past them, without glance or word, not because he ignored them, but because his focus was fixed on where he belonged. The cockpit, the place he had earned through discipline, precision, and unwavering competence. The door closed behind him, sealing him into the space where authority was not questioned but assumed, where skill and focus mattered above all else. The cabin outside exhaled, but the story did not end there. Unseen to those aboard, videos of the moment had already left the confines of the plane, racing through feeds and timelines, captions framing the confrontation in ways both sympathetic and critical. Strangers debated his dignity, his right, his role. Derrick knew the sky could be navigated with charts and instruments, but the landscape of perception was far more treacherous. The flight continued, engines steady, clouds drifting below, the hum of systems blending with the quiet rhythm of thought. Every decision in the cockpit was made with precision, every adjustment seamless, because regardless of what had unfolded in the cabin, these passengers were his to carry safely to their destination. When the wheels met the runway hours later, the cabin erupted in applause before the seatbelt sign dimmed. It rolled forward in a wave spontaneous, uncoached. Derrick stepped from the cockpit to make his way back down the aisle, and this time the eyes that met his were changed. Some carried the weight of apology, others the light of respect, a few the warmth of quiet solidarity. The attendant kept her gaze locked ahead, her hands fidgeting, betraying the unease she could not mask. Derrick passed without pause, needing nothing from her, no apology, no acknowledgement. The reclaiming of his dignity had already been written in the way he walked, the way he had refused to bend under the weight of humiliation. By the time he stepped into the terminal, the video had gone viral. Strangers approached, offering thanks, sharing their own stories of being told they did not belong. Messages flooded in from pilots, crew members, passengers, people who saw in his measured steps a reflection of their own quiet battles. In comment sections and news panels, the footage played on repeat, dissected for meaning, debated for its weight. But to Derrick, it was simple. It was a reminder that, while some flights carry passengers from one place to another, others carry truths across the airways into the hearts and minds of those who need to hear them. The sky belongs to everyone, but respect must fly higher than any plane. And as Derrick walked into the bright hum of the terminal, he knew some journeys change more than destinations, they change people. And if you stand against humiliation, subscribe now and stay with us, because the next story is already boarding, and justice will be in the pilot's seat.